Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Right now, the Congress party finds itself in a state of crisis that is once again a result of its own actions. After Goa, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Madhya Pradesh, and Punjab, the crisis is now in Rajasthan. And it involves Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, his rival in the party Gehlot-Pilot, and a resolution that Congress passed earlier this year. Now, the Congress party has been looking to elect a new party president, someone who is not from the Gandhi family, which has not happened in 25 years. And it is doing this to get rid of the tag of dynasty politics. And for this, the central leadership recently convinced Ashok Gehlot, asking him to stand for the position. And even though Gehlot agreed, he put forth some demands, some conditions. But when MLAs loyal to him saw that the central leadership was not going to meet the conditions, around 90 of them submitted their resignations to the Rajasthan Assembly Speaker late on Sunday night. In this episode, we talk about this crisis, what it says about the Congress party, what Gehlot and his loyalists are demanding, and what that has to do with Gehlot-Pilot. And for this, we first speak to Indian Express's Hamza Khan, who reports on Rajasthan politics. Hamza, before we talk about what transpired on Sunday, could you talk about Ashok Gehlot's plans to contest for the post of Congress president?
Yeah, so as we know that it was and it has been the party high command which was and has been keen on having Ashok Gehlot as the party president. But then things became a bit messy when Gehlot indicated that he's ready to become the party president but would also like to continue as the CM. So, all that we've been witnessing over the last 24 hours or, last couple of days. So it's been because of Gehlot's initial intention of wanting to retain the post of the CM of Rajasthan.
And can that happen? Can he be the Congress president and retain the post of the chief minister?
So initially, a few days ago, what Ashok Gehlot had said was he was asked about the party resolution during Udaipur's Chintan Shivir that, there should be one person, one post in the party. But Gehlot said that this doesn't apply to the elected positions. He said that, I was elected as a CM and now I'll be elected as a party president. So this rule does not apply to me. So he wanted to give the message that, I'll be happy to continue on both positions and that this rule doesn't apply to me. But then I think the same day, Rahul Gandhi held a press conference and he said that, we had agreed on one person, one post thing in Udaipur. And I believe that this should be maintained.
What we have decided, जो हमने उदयपुर में decide किया, वो कांग्रेस पार्टी का एक commitment है. तो I expect that commitment will be maintained.
Okay, so just to clarify, in Udaipur, where Congress had this big party meeting, it was decided that one person can hold only one post in the party. But now Gehlot is saying that this only applies to positions where people are nominated. But since the party president and the chief minister require an election, he says this doesn't count. And this distinction, of course, was not talked about in Udaipur. And this is what Rahul Gandhi said in the press conference as well. So what does Gehlot do after that?
So after that, Gehlot changed track. Officially, he's been giving statements that, he's willing to relinquish the post of the CM's post. But then he has been, his loyalists, and he has been getting his loyalists to do exactly the opposite. And the next best scenario for the Gehlot camp is to have someone from amongst them to become the CM rather than Gehlot-Pilot or anyone else.
Right, and even though the camp doesn't want Gehlot-Pilot to take Gehlot's place, this is exactly what the central leadership has been planning, which brings us to what happened on Sunday. Talk about what the Gehlot camp did that day.
So from what I understand and from what I've been told by the people here, the party insiders, the MLAs, it seems as if what transpired on Sunday was a very carefully crafted sequence of events. So earlier in the day, Gehlot went to the North Mata temple where he tells journalists that he's, of course, willing to relinquish the post of the CM, that he will brief the next CM about the budget, and that the young generation should be given an opportunity. So he was basically putting himself in the clear that, he is ready to leave, and he's in fact indicating that, he'll fine with Sachin-Pilot. But yeah, Gehlot is very smart, and that's the impression that he wanted to give. That, see, I am ready to relinquish the post, and I'm even ready to accept Pilot as a CM. So he said that indirectly. But then, of course, what was going on in his heart was something else altogether. We got to see that when the MLAs started pouring at the Jaipur residence of Cabinet Minister Shanti Dhariwal. So Dhariwal is Parliamentary Affairs Minister and one of Gehlot's closest aides. And many of the MLAs didn't even know what was going to happen at Dhariwal's residence. Only the inner circle of like 4 or 5 or maybe more Gehlot loyalists knew what they had planned. So the MLAs were called to Dhariwal's residence, and when they reached a sufficient number, like around 80, 85 plus, these guys, they made an emotional appeal to the people present in that meeting at Dhariwal's residence that, look, we were all together back in 2020. We spent over a month at Fairmont Resort in Jaipur and at Suryagarh in Jaisalmer when, these Gaddars, as in these traitors, who were conspiring with the BJP to topple the Ashok Gehlot government.
And this incident they're talking about is when 2 years back, Sachin-Pilot and 18 rebel MLAs had launched a full-blown rebellion against Ashok Gehlot and said that they cannot accept his leadership anymore. And at the time, the root cause of the problem was that Pilot wanted to become the chief minister.
Yeah. So they referred to that in the yesterday's meeting at Dhariwal's residence, making an emotional appeal. These guys had rebelled, and now someone from amongst them might be made the state chief minister. And then, since it was all pre-planned, they were handed resignation letters, printed resignation letters, where they just had to type out their name and the assembly name and then sign it. So, of course, there were few MLAs who were neutral, who are neutral, and in fact, there are some even pro-Pilot MLAs in the meeting which was happening at Dhariwal's residence. So they had turned up there because they were clueless as to what was going to happen. But then once this thing happened, they couldn't say no. I mean, of course, of the 80 or 90 MLAs, maximum are with Gehlot. But then there were still some who were undecided or neutral or even with Pilot. But they didn't have any option to basically not sign. That's because they know that Gehlot is on his way to become the party president, and then they will be in the crosshairs of the Gehlot camp leaders.
Basically, they can't afford to not be in the good books of Gehlot.
Yeah, there might be repercussions, so they didn't have any option and they just signed those letters. All of that happened and they went to Speaker C.P. Joshi's home and submitted resignation letters. So that's what happened. And after that, the Gehlot camp put forth 3 demands. They were basically arm twisting the party high command. So these representatives, they told Kharge and Makan that, look, we will pass the resolution authorizing the party high command to decide on the name of the state CM. But then it should be done only after October 19th. So October 19th is by when the next party president will be decided. So Makan said that this is wrong because this is conflict of interest. Right now, you are basically, it would essentially mean that you're authorizing yourself to take a call on the question of Chief Minister of Rajasthan. Because if the MLAs here pass a resolution saying that, we authorize the party president to take a call on it after October 19th, so it would mean that Gehlot himself is authorizing Gehlot, the president, to take a call on the question of Chief Minister of Rajasthan. So this, Makan said, is clearly conflict of interest. The next condition was that all these MLAs, they would meet Makan and, Kharge in groups. So Makan said that, it has been a tradition that we meet every MLA individually so that person can communicate their opinion to us freely and without any pressure. But then all these representatives, they said that, no, we will meet you in groups. So of course, the idea is that if they speak individually, they will say that they're happy with whatever the high command decides. But then if they go to meet Kharge and Makan in groups, then these guys, Gehlot camp loyalists and leaders, they will be able to keep an eye on these guys, on these MLAs.
Okay, so one demand is that the next chief minister should be decided after the 19th of October, that is, after the next party president has been elected. And the second is that the MLAs should be able to meet the party in charge Ajay Makan and Malik Arjun Kharge in groups and not alone. What is their third demand?
So the third condition that the representatives put forth before Makan and Kharge was that no one from the camp of Pilot or among the rebels of 2020 should be made the CM. So Makan said that this has never happened in the history of the party, that the resolution is passed which is conditional or with strings attached. This has not happened. So all of that happened, and Makan, he seemed a bit angry over the developments because it is clear that the Gehlot camp is arm twisting the party high command.
Also, when we look at Gehlot wanting to pick the next chief minister of the state, it seems that by doing that, he still wants to be in control of the state. So talk about that a bit more.
Yeah, of course. Rajasthan is the basically home state of Gehlot, and he has been a 5-time MP from Jodhpur. He has been a 5-time MLA. He has been a 3-term chief minister. So he still wants to retain his hold over the party and the government in Rajasthan and be relevant here. He doesn't want to go out of Rajasthan. He's happy, and over the past few weeks, there have been occasions where he has indicated that he's reluctant to take on the post of the party president. But then he eventually says that, whatever the party wants him to do, he will, of course, respect that as a party worker. But then a few days ago, when he went to meet and join Rahul Gandhi in the Bharat Jodo Yatra, before going there, he said that he will make one last-ditch effort to convince Rahul Gandhi to contest for the post of party president. So until the last moment, Gehlot tried to convince Rahul Gandhi. And not only because he probably wants to see Rahul Gandhi as a president, but also because Gehlot himself wasn't keen on taking on a national role. But then, as we have seen, that he eventually yielded and agreed. But then he wants to do it on his own terms, which includes retaining the post of the CM or having someone or one of his guys as the Chief Minister of Rajasthan.
Right, and the other thing, of course, that he does not want is for Sachin-Pilot to take his place. What is the main reason behind this intense rivalry between the two?
So, of course, it's a power tussle, and it started with the ticket distribution for the 2018 assembly elections when Pilot didn't give tickets to quite a few Gehlot loyalists. And then the party somehow managed to touch the halfway mark in 2018 elections. Then the next question was who will become the CM. And Gehlot outsmarted Pilot. That was the second issue. The third issue was who will become the minister in the Gehlot government. Again, that was a point of friction. And then once the ministers were decided, the fourth point of friction was that, what portfolios will they get? So this competition, this rivalry, it surfaced during and before the 2018 elections. So after that, it has been simmering. It has been instances on and off every few months. And then eventually it reached a boiling point in 2020 when Pilot rebelled with 18 other MLAs. So it's reached a point where two of them are believed to really dislike each other. So hence, if Pilot were to be made the CM, then he is expected to have his own people in the government. And he would quickly want or will do away with Gehlot loyalists. So what we have witnessed in the last 24 hours is the Gehlot camp MLAs and the leaders, they want to retain their place. Because if Pilot becomes the CM, he will do away with them. He will get his own guys to become the ministers, and he will do away with the set of people who have been there for very long. Like Gehlot became CM for the first time in 1998. So there are some leaders who have been with him for 2.5 decades, 3 decades, and who have been with him in the government for so many years. So they also feel threatened about their position in the party and in the government. And hence they have been working to basically retain their position and conspiring to keep Pilot out.
And Hamza, in fact, last week, before these resignations took place, you had spoken to Congress MLAs in Rajasthan. And they had kind of hinted to you that something like this might just happen. So talk about that a bit.
So people here know the rivalry between Gehlot and Pilot. So they were still quite confident that Gehlot is known as a magician. He was a magician earlier. He still has a few cards up his sleeve, and he would still do something to either retain the post of CM or have someone from his camp become the CM. So that's the sense that we got from Jodhpur, last week. And that is what happened over the weekend. That, he managed to, all of this happened at Dhariwal's residence. They skipped the CLP meeting, and then Makan is angry. And so, basically what they were expecting to happen, there are some very old Congress persons in Jodhpur who have known Gehlot 4 or 5 decades. So they said the same thing, that it's not over until it's over.
And what did they have to say about Gehlot no longer being the chief minister and possibly leaving Rajasthan?
Yeah, so the one thing is that they were, of course, a bit sad. Second, they said that he has, one of the guys that I spoke to, he said कि उनके जोधपुर में बहुत सारे या राजस्थान में उनके बहुत सारे वजीर हैं. As in, he has people all across the state So it's not as if he won't be in touch with the people of Rajasthan. He will still make sure that the works of his people across the state and especially in Jodhpur are being done. So that's what the people in Jodhpur told us, that we are sad. But then we also know that even if he's not here in person, he will be here through, in an invisible manner, through his people and through his aides and through his loyalists. And he will ensure that the works that he wants to get done and हमारे जो काम हैं वो पूरे होंगे जोधपुर में या फिर राजस्थान में. So he will be here even if he's not here in person.
And what about the Sachin Pilot camp? What did they have to say about all this?
So Pilot and his loyalists have been quiet these past few days. And that is intentional because the Pilot camp keeps repeating that, we don't want to say anything which might seem objectionable and which might jeopardize Pilot's chances for the post of Chief Minister. And probably there was a message from the party high command that, they'll hand over the reins of the state to Pilot. So Pilot instructed his, loyalists to basically maintain a silence. So, yeah, that's more or less has been the case. But then at the same time, what his loyalists say is that, he's a young guy. And one of the main reasonings that they give for Pilot as CM is that for 3 decades, we have had this cycle in Rajasthan where a BJP government is elected, which is followed by a Congress and then BJP and then Congress again. So to break this cycle, we need a fresh variable. We need a fresh phase. We need someone like Sachin Pilot who has the energy and who has the charm, who comes with a clean slate, not so much after 2020, but he's the X factor in Congress's chances to come back to power in 2023. So that's one of the main arguments.
Now, so far we have talked about why MLAs loyal to Gehlot submitted their resignation and what Gehlot himself wants. But now we talk about the Congress central leadership and what it has been thinking and how it could have tackled the situation in a much better way. And to discuss this, joining us is Indian Express's associate editor Manoj CG, who reports on Congress for the paper. Now, Manoj, this infighting, this public show of rivalry, seems like a classic Congress problem. This is something that the party has faced so many times in the past. So what does the central leadership make of it now, and what questions does it raise about it once again?
The Congress has this uncanny ability to foist a crisis upon itself when there is none. In the past, we have seen similar crises going out of hand in Goa, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab recently, to some extent Chhattisgarh also, where the party leadership's lack of intervention or a miscalculated intervention had turned things from bad to worse. What is playing out in Rajasthan is the latest example of how a lack of imagination on the part of the leadership or not so good communication channels with the protagonists, with the main leaders, has led to a situation.
And what exactly do you mean when you say that?
For the last fortnight or so, we have been hearing about Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot throwing his hat in the Congress presidential election ring. So behind Gehlot contesting was the larger idea. What is the larger idea? The larger idea is there is this big charge by the BJP that the Congress is a dynastic party. It is run like a family fiefdom. It's a proprietary concern run by the Gandhis. So after the debacle of 2019, Rahul Gandhi, while stepping down as the Congress president, had made it very clear that he wanted a non-Gandhi to run the party, to be at the helm of the affairs. He could not do it immediately. It took a good 3 years now for that idea to fructify. So behind the idea to, make Ashok Gehlot run for presidency is to address this challenge. And Mr. Rahul Gandhi is very keen that he doesn't want to be saddled with day-to-day organizational responsibilities. He has told leaders close to him that appointing a state Congress president or a campaign committee chief, all these are merely patchwork. What Rahul believes is that the Congress can revive only when it reconnects with the people.
That's why Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra.
That's why the Bharat Jodo Yatra. He wants to be with the people, among the people. This is a gambit. Whether the outcome would be positive for the Congress, it will yield results, that of course we'll have to wait and watch. But his idea is that is the only way to revive the Congress. So with one stone, two birds can be killed in this situation where the party can be run by a non-Gandhi to address that criticism, and Rahul will be freed of this organizational responsibilities. The sideshow of that, of course, is Rajasthan, where Mr. Sachin Pilot had waged a revolt against Ashok Gehlot in 2020. That time, he only had the support of 18 to 20 MLAs, and the Gandhis had then reached out to him. And there is what sources in the party say, an unwritten assurance to him that towards the end of this government's term, the last 1 year or so, they will effect a change of guard and make Sachin Pilot the chief minister. So that was an assurance given to him. So by bringing Gehlot as a Congress president, that the tussle, the quagmire in Rajasthan can also be addressed.
Okay, so you have a non-Gandhi becoming the president, so you can put that whole family politics debate to rest, and then you make Sachin Pilot the chief minister of Rajasthan. He's an ambitious young leader. He's wanted that in the past. So like you said, you kill two birds with one stone.
So if that was the plan, sources are to be believed, then it need to be clearly communicated to the protagonists, which are Mr. Gehlot and Mr. Pilot. Mr. Gehlot had met the Congress president, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, here in Delhi. Then he went all the way to the Kochi, where Rahul Gandhi is leading that yatra. He had a meeting with him there. So if that was the plan, if the Gandhis, if the leadership wanted him to contest for the post of presidential elections, take over as the Congress president and let Sachin take over as the chief minister, that plan should have been clearly communicated to him. So now the situation is that for the last 1 week or so, Mr. Gehlot has been giving clear indications that he is ready to contest. At the same time, he is not willing to step down immediately, at least till he is elected as the Congress president. Even while saying about this one person, one principal post, he had also made it clear that, a Congress president who is also a chief minister cannot do justice to the Congress presidency. So he was kind of willing to step down.
He basically wanted a say in who would become the next chief minister.
Yeah, so he wanted to continue at least till October 19 when the counting of votes take place and then step down. And another thing which is very clear is that he doesn't want Sachin Pilot as his successor. So now what the Pilot camp feels is that if Ashok Gehlot is allowed to file the nomination and he's allowed to become the party president, then he'll be the top authority to take a call on who should be his successor. From chief minister, he becomes the Congress president. So he has the ultimate say in that. And the Gandhis, even if they want to push Sachin Pilot, they may not be able to undercut a non-Gandhi Congress president after a gap of 25 years. They may not be able to push and give a public perception that they are still running the show. So Mr. Pilot was very clear that this whole succession thing the plan should be laid out, or at least a successor should be in place even before Mr. Gehlot files his nomination, or at least before he is elected to the party president post. So given that background, this decision of the leadership to call a meeting of the Congress Legislature Party on Sunday gave a sense to the Gehlot camp that the leadership is really pushing for him to step down and make way for Sachin Pilot. Again, the another irritant that came in between was Mr. Rahul Gandhi's public statement reiterating the commitment the party had made at this Udaipur Chintan Shivir, saying that one person, one principal post was a commitment, we made at Udaipur and we should stick to that. So this again was seen by many Congress leaders as undermining the authority of the chief minister and possible incoming Congress president if he wins. Many leaders, likened it to that ordnance steering moment of Rahul Gandhi in 2013. They say then his act had undermined the authority of the prime minister. Now by saying this publicly, he has undermined the authority of the chief minister and a possible next Congress president.
And possibly put Gehlot in an embarrassing public situation.
In a spot where he's being asked to step down. The leadership is telling him that, see, you cannot, hope to hold both the posts together. You'll have to step down. So the situation in Rajasthan is different from the other states where the Congress had created a mess for itself, say Punjab, where the party could maneuver, ask or force Captain Amarinder Singh to step down as chief minister because he did not have the backing of the majority of the MLAs. So the party could make first Navjot Singh Sidhu the state Congress president, then force Amarinder Singh to step down, install Charanjit Singh Channi. The outcome, of course, we all know what happened, but the party could do that maneuver and push it to what it wanted. Here, the difference is that Gehlot has the backing of at least the majority of the MLAs. So here, if they wanted to do that, if this was their plan, as it seems it is their plan, then they should have done it in a much more nuanced manner where you take into confidence all of them and then do it instead of first giving a public message and then calling a CLP even before he files his nomination, making it pretty clear to the chief minister that you'll have to step down. Now we have a plan. Now you work according to the plan. So he flexed his muscles. Now that puts the whole party in an embarrassing situation where it could have been done in a much better fashion.
Okay, so you mentioned that if this was their plan, they should have communicated this clearly and taken both Gehlot and Pilot in confidence, rather than doing this in a roundabout way. So as someone who has covered Congress for many years now, why do you think it didn't have the sense to do that?
One, perhaps, I don't know how to put it, but many of the Congress leaders believe that, had Mr. Ahmed Patel been around, he manned Congress President's office for a good 2 decades. So he could have maneuvered the whole thing in a much better fashion. So the lack of experienced veteran leaders who have an equation with leaders on the other side, state leaders, entrenched leaders, satraps, whatever name we call them, and then taking them into confidence and working out this in a very smooth manner. So that is a difference many of the Congress leaders believe. So the whole system, which used to work pretty much decently earlier, now it is facing cracks because of the lack of experienced leaders who know how to, maneuver things. Even in Punjab, the Congress leadership managed to replace Amrinder Singh as the chief minister and install a new chief minister. But it was done in such a messy manner that year ago, everybody in Congress believed that Punjab is the only state where the Congress will come back to power. And within a year, the entire situation changed. Again, many of the leaders point out the way the whole thing was handled. They're not saying Captain Amrinder should not have been removed. Many people believe that he had become very unpopular. But the way it was handled, there are questions on that. The same with Madhya Pradesh. There was Kamal Nath and Digvijay Singh on one side, Jyotiradittya Scindia on the other side, aspirational leaders. So this individual interest, every big party, Congress is no exception, will have leaders with individual aspirations and all. But how you manage that to iron out differences, compensate, do adjustments and all, that is actually real politics. So many people believe the system which is around Mr. Rahul Gandhi and the leaders who are calling the shots, they are ill-equipped to handle veteran leaders who have a good following, who have a support. So that is one of the reasons perhaps, again, the Congress is finding itself in a very big, messy situation.
And so considering this, does it make them seem very ill-prepared for the upcoming state elections and even the 2024 Lok Sabha elections?
So the first big challenge would be Rajasthan itself. Its elections are due in November, December next year. So it's just a year or so for elections. So if the party is really keen to win Rajasthan again, because the elections in November, December, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Telangana, that is seen as a semi-final for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Just 4-5 months before the Lok Sabha election, there is this big set of assembly elections. So to give a message that the Congress is still in the race, it is very important from a Congress point of view that it wins one of 2 of these states. So if the party was very keen to retain power in Rajasthan, then it should have a plan. If the plan is to make a young leader, Sachin Pilot, as the chief minister, then how you execute that plan, there it leaves much to be desired.
You were listening to 3 Things by The Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.